Fellas, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but we're unfortunately back at it again with another bit of Nintendo Land.
Why are you crying?
You all might remember me as Nintendo Land's biggest op, and I still am, but he released another video that makes no sense whatsoever, and I'm here to dismantle his fucking arguments once again and tell him that his content sucks to his face. You might be wondering, well, Prez, how are you going to do it to his face? Well, like I've done with the other Nintendo Land videos, I'm going to tag him. Because nobody, and I mean nobody, of his critics on a YouTube video has ever done that. So let me continue to be the first. Alright, fellas, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to just go ahead and be nice to Nintendo Land for once, alright? I'm gonna be nice to him. Aww. Just because, you know, just so he can make a couple pennies on the dollar from my view, alright? Like, it's a hard economy out there. It fucking sucks to live out here sometimes. I'm just gonna be nice to him, and I'm gonna give him my view. So, here it is. We're just gonna watch it straight from YouTube itself. Oh my fucking god. You can't be... You can't make this shit up, bro. You cannot make this shit up. He went from, is the Switch 2 truly that boring right now, to Nintendo is about to open the floodgates and we may finally know Nintendo's big holiday game. What the fuck, dude? What is this? Why are you like this? I'm just so confused right now. Because he was literally just saying, like, the Switch 2 is boring, right? Good lord. Alright, let's watch this fucking shit.
Time. I mean, half of the fan base loves this thing, and then the other half of the fan base thinks it's literally the worst thing that Nintendo has ever done. It's like so split. And if you look at 95% of content creators on the Nintendo platform side of things, literally they're all negative about this console. What's up with the Nintendo Directs? Why is there no content? Why are the games so underwhelming? It's so negative. How can people be negative about the Switch 2? That's so freaking weird. Don't worry, it's my video. Relax. I genuinely had my hopes so high for this thing, and then it just came crashing down after Mario Kart and Donkey Kong. I mean, the games are coming out. There's games to play. Don't get me wrong. Don't play that one. But there's this, like,
what?
this thing.
Hold on. No, hold on. What the fuck was that? Don't play that one? Which one? Okay, hang on. I need to see this for myself. Hold on. A 6. You know what? I'll give it to him. I've never played it, so I don't know for sure what to expect. I don't think I'd ever play Drag X Drive. But I mean, the game is there. If people fucking like it, play it, dude. It's a 6. Obviously, and again, I guess we can't really take IGN seriously. We can only take them with a grain of salt after that clone story. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna defend IGN here. If they say it's a 6, I'm sure it's completely fine, alright? I am sure it's fine. It's a $20 game. What more could you expect from a $20 game?
But there's this, like, this thing where I'm like, everybody just sees IP, and the first thing people say is, how in the world could you think 2017 was better than this stacked lineup of all these games? Because they didn't have freaking Mario! Jokes aside.
What does having... Okay, bro. You're not even being unbiased here. You are literally just complaining that there was no 3D Mario coming out this year. Which, bro, like, just fucking play something else. You have so many other amazing titles out there, like Xenoblade Chronicles X, or fucking, I don't know, literally anything else. I guess Donkey Kong Bonanza, that was fun. You probably beat it. What else was there? There's fucking literally anything else. There's Arc Raiders on PC. There is Arc Raiders on PC. You could just become Steam-O-Land or some shit, and you could start playing Steam games. Like, there's more games there. Better yet, remember what I said in the last Splatoon video that I made about Nintendo Land? Yeah, you know Nintendo Land. It's still on the table here. It's still on the table if you want it.
Yes, I am crazy about 3D Mario. I love me some Mario. I mean, 99% of the channel was built on Mario from the very beginning.
I can tell, brother.
And
I
Octo
can
expansion.
Dude, I'm watching the stream while you try not to laugh, bro. That's disrespectful, bro. What's wrong with you, bro? Stop laughing, bro.
Shut the fuck up, okay? You do not know shit about Splatoon. If it's taken you 15 minutes to make a script about Splatoon and get every single fucking detail wrong, you are clearly not obsessed with it. You are just a fucking idiot.
And then, of course, Kirby Air Riders returning from the GameCube. I mean, that's a stacked lineup, right? Right? Like I said, I've talked about this before, but it seems like Nintendo had this quota.
One would argue that's a pretty stacked lineup, if you ask me. And sure, you know, some of the games may have not have, like, been the right, like, met the expectations of a lot of people, but they were still there. They were still pretty fun to play. They were still better than whatever fucking slop we've been getting from other game developers. I mean, at least we've gotten games. Some people haven't gotten games at all.
We finally get a new Mario Kart, but it's $80, and it's plagued with straight intermissions, and there's hardly any content outside of basic races online. There's like...
Okay, hold on. All right. Remember how long it took to get brand new courses for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? Do you remember how long it took for the fucking expansion pass to come out for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? Mind you, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was a launch title for the Switch 1. It was one of the first titles to make it to the Switch 1 back in 2017. And we didn't get the expansion pass until 2022. So you are going to tell me that Mario Kart World is terrible because we haven't gotten any new content when we have literally spent count with me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fucking years with the same goddamn shit from Mario Kart 8 that we got from the Wii U. Miss me with that shit, Nintendo Land. Make it make sense for me. There is no way you are completely invalidating this completely new Mario Kart entry because there wasn't any content, any new content for the first year.
$80. Bonanza was...
And on top of that, okay, here's the thing about the price point. If you got the Switch 2 bundle, like I did, if you remember that video I made, you could have gotten Mario Kart World for $50, included with the console. If you didn't want the game, that's fine. You can pay the $80 if you want. But if you wanted to get into the Switch 2, getting the Mario Kart World bundle was probably your best bet, so you at least have it for $30 off.
As somebody that's a huge fan of the trilogy, this was not a Metroid Prime game to me. I don't know what the heck I was playing half the time. It's not terrible, but it's also not great.
Now this, okay, he's absolutely right here. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions, but also, like, you have to acknowledge when you're absolutely stretching further than you've ever stretched before. You cannot be making these fuck-ass opinions when you've literally gotten everything on a silver platter within the past year. It is almost, at this point, at the time of recording, it has almost been a year since the Switch 2 was announced. And it's in like 3 months from now, basically, it's going to be a year since the Switch 2's release. And overall, I'm not complaining. I fucking love my Switch 2. It is so much better than my completely crapped out Nintendo Switch 1 that I've had since 2017 when it first fucking launched.
Just It came, it went, no one's really talking about it ever again. And when you hear about the horrible development cycle that went through, it explains a lot. Not to mention, Metroid Prime 4 is a game that you can play on old hardware. Yep, the Switch 1. I'm not a huge Pokemon fan, but I gave ZA a try and actually beat the entire game. But overall, it was an okay experience. It wasn't anything special, and the fans seem like they hate this game. They seem like they hate everything Pokemon. Wait, was Scarlet and Violet that bad? But also, a game you can play on Switch 1.
I don't
Hyrule
think
Warriors
it was
Age of
that bad.
Imprisonment was another Hyrule Warriors game, but this time with Kino. Who the freak is Kino? And don't get me started on Kirby Air Riders. Actually, I don't have much to say. There's a lot of content in that game. Good job, Sakurai. So with an already just okay first 6 months, you look at this next 6 months and it's just like, oh boy, what are we doing? I mean, Yoshi, Splatoon, and Fire Emblem might be really, really good, but we don't have any information about those 3 games. For some reason, Tomodachi Life isn't on this list that I pulled up, but you have 3 sim games, with Animal Crossing New Horizons getting a free update, Pokemon Pokopia, and of course, Tomodachi Life. And personally, I am not a Sims Life fan. I'm not a fan of those type of games. It's just not my thing. And to have 3 of them in the span of like 4 months is freaking insane. But Pokopia is Pokemon, and it feels like Animal Crossing / Minecraft, so I'm sure people are going to have a blast with this game. And Tomodachi Life sold so extremely well in the 3DS, I'm sure it's going to do really well here. But for a lot of people, this just isn't enough. And our biggest games so far have pretty much just been Mario Tennis Fever and a Switch 2 edition of a 2D Mario game that came out 3 years ago. Which reminds me, how are we only like 9 months into this console and we already have over like 10 Switch 2 editions? What is going on? It just seems like Nintendo's biggest...
Okay, hang on. All right, hold on. I want to get this out of the way because I already know he's about to be like, oh yeah, why are they still focusing on the Switch 1 when we have the Switch 2 now? Let me explain something to you all. The Switch 2 is very obviously backwards compatible, right? And the Switch 2 has had a monumental leap from the performance of a Switch 1, okay? So a lot of people, like myself, would like to have my games running properly and more optimized on the newer hardware, which is where the Switch 2 comes in. With the Switch 2, you inherently have more power that the games can utilize to not only look better, but play better. All right, here's an example. All right, Splatoon 3 ran great on the Switch 1, but if you clearly saw in my comparison video, it runs, well, actually, yeah, no, not my comparison video. I'm gonna use a completely different example. Let's take a look at Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, right? Both great games. Obviously, it ran just fine on the Switch 1 when it first released because that was the launch title. That was the amount of power that it was going to use specifically for the Switch at the time. But with Tears of the Kingdom, you now have better, performance needed. The game runs fine, but it doesn't run as fast or as optimized as it should because it is now at that point running on 7-year-old hardware. Of course, if you're going to have a Switch 2 and you have a newer Zelda title, you are going to want that title to run better, optimized, and with a fucking higher frame rate, okay? Are you telling me you want to play 30 frame per second games on newer hardware where the Steam Deck can easily do that on its own fucking platform? Of course not. You're paying $450 for a new console. You would want your Switch 1 games to run better. Now, I get there's another point of debate here, but if you're gonna want like better optimization and everything, you shouldn't have to pay for an upgrade pack. Some games have those free upgrades, like Splatoon, where if you just update the game once for the Switch 2, it is going to run better. Now, I agree, the Switch 2 editions where you have to pay for certain things, like the Xenoblade Chronicles X upgrade, that is like too little for $5, right? You just get the performance upgrade and like the better remastered graphics. That's it. But for free updates like you got for Splatoon, now that shit's worth it because you're still getting that extra like bump in like good looks, smoother gameplay because you're running it on a better console. Oh my god, I feel like I just had a fucking incoherent rant. But you get the idea here. The Switch 2 is not the replacement for the Switch 1, but at this early stage in its life cycle, it is not going to completely replace the Switch 1. The Switch 1 still functions. Obviously, with the higher price tag, it's going to take a while for people to upgrade from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2. So of course, with these newer titles, it's going to be a while until they can just focus exclusively on Switch 2. Right now, they're just focusing on games that they can have on both consoles, whether the Switch 1 edition or a brand new Switch 2 edition like they did with Legends EA. But that does not mean that it's completely misguided for Nintendo to just focus like on the Switch 1 like side of things. Metroid Prime 4 was supposed to come out on the Switch 1, but it didn't. It ended up being like an additional title for the Switch 2. I still sound incoherent as fuck, but I'm sure you all are grasping at the point I'm trying to make here. The Switch 2, in simpler terms, is just like if Apple made, which they did, the iPhone 15 and then made the iPhone 16. Of course, they're going to optimize shit better on the newer platform, but they still have the older platform to support until the life cycle of it completely ends and they move focus onto something else. That is the point I'm trying to make. That is why the Switch 1 is not fucking dead yet, alright? We still got titles coming to the Switch 1, like you just mentioned. We got Tomodachi Life, and we also have Rhythm Heaven, 2 games that were announced for Switch 1 that still have yet to release. Of course, they are going to focus on Switch 1 titles because people who own Switch 1 titles and are playing them on the Switch 2 would like and would love to have smoother gameplay and better graphics on the better platform. All right? There's my rant. There's my 2 cents. Let's just keep going.
Exciting reveals now are just games that we played when we were younger, or sometimes a year ago in many cases. It feels like the Wii U ports back on the Switch, but even worse because now it's Switch 1 ports on the Switch 2, which once again, this is the first year of Switch 2 and we're already getting so many ports. For the first time in years,
it's not even ports.
Ever.
How? Okay, you're gonna tell me that fucking Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are literally just ports of the fucking games? No, those aren't ports. The Switch 2 editions are just optimization patches for both of those games so they can run better on the newer platform. What's so hard to understand from that, all right? That's like when Xbox, when they were transitioning from the Xbox One to the Series, they were making series-specific editions of certain games. You had Madden, like, 23 on the Xbox One, but then you had a Series X and S edition that was more optimized for the better platform. What Xbox is doing, or I guess technically, like, they were doing, is literally the same as what Nintendo is doing now with their Switch 1 platform. I just don't understand why people fail to see that. The Xbox did it first, and no one seemed to complain. But when the Switch 2 does it, then that's the problem. There are actual developers who were on Xbox, like 2K and EA, who would sell these editions separately. You had to pay more to get the optimized version of the same game that released on Xbox One. It is no different than what Nintendo is doing here with the upgrade packs.
Say Nintendo's third-party lineup looks better than their first-party, which is not Nintendo. And look, I'm Nintendo Land. I get it. I love Nintendo games, but it's not all I play. Trust me, even though some of you believe that. What's wrong with you? Since 2024, I think
I hate to point this out, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who thinks that, but when your name is literally Nintendo Land, I'm pretty sure people would draw that conclusion on their own, alright? I'm just saying.
I've been playing more PlayStation games than any Switch or Switch 2 games combined. I probably played...
Then call yourself PlayStation Land or Sony Land, brother. Why the fuck are you still called Nintendo Land? And why is like 2/3 or fucking like 3/4 of your channel just Nintendo content? You're not helping yourself here.
Shadow of the Colossus like 100 times. This is literally one of my favorite games of all time. So I even decided to dive into my backlog because I've always wanted to play the Ratchet & Clank game. So guess what I did? I went out and bought Ratchet & Clank 1, Ratchet & Clank 2, Ratchet & Clank 3, Ratchet & Clank 4.
Holy shit, guys. Holy fucking shit. Nintendo Land is not Nintendo Land anymore. He is Ratchet & Clank Land. It's confirmed. Ratchet & Clank Land. I'm not completely losing my marbles here. Nintendo Land is no longer Nintendo Land. I don't know why he's going in. I don't understand why he's going in like deep into this bit. Just say, hey, I don't just play Nintendo games and move on, bro. I get you need the monetization. We're only like 5 minutes into this video, but Jesus, dude. Wait a minute. Hang on, am I tripping right now? Hold on.
But hot poop garbage, but I've actually decided to finally tune in and watch one, and goodness gracious, it was good. Like, really good. There's like 5, 6 7.
There were no games at the State of Play event. None. There were 0 games at the State of Play. Alright? And you might be wondering, well, Prez, why are you saying there's 0 games when clearly they announced some games on the State of Play? Because let's be real, guys. All the games on PlayStation are just going to be ported within the first year of release, alright? It happened with Stellar Blade. It happened with God of War. There is literally no reason to buy a PlayStation when all their games are literally just getting ported to everywhere else. How's it going, fellas? Post-edit Prez here, and I'm just here to let you guys know that this joke actually aged poorly. Apparently, PlayStation will now begin having games once again when Wolverine, Insomniac Games' Wolverine to be more specific, releases. It is not coming to PC, and I doubt the sequel to Stellar Blade is coming to PC too. So, from this point going forward, any additional jokes about PlayStation having no games will no longer be funny. And for legal reasons, I had to include this in the video.
Say so many of these third parties that PlayStation talked about are coming to Switch too. Like Pragmata is a game I'm really looking forward to, but that's also coming to Switch too. But the problem is, I'd much rather play my third party games on my PS5. I'm sorry, they run better, it's just a fact. However, let me be clear, I'm not downplaying how good some of these third-party games seem to run on Switch 2. Like, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth looks like it runs great. Even Pragmata looks pretty good. But I'm still just going to choose the PS5 over preference. I'd just rather have that...
You know, that's great. That is so great that you say that. Because you can, I mean, that's the whole idea, right? If you have it on PlayStation 5, why would you get it on Switch 2? Right? That makes total sense. But at the same time, it's there for people who want to play on the go. Sure, having a Steam Deck and everything is going to, like, be just fine, right? You can play Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth on it, or literally any other Steam title on there. Within reason, of course. I mean, it can't run everything. But if you want to play the game on your PlayStation, that is your choice. If you don't want to play it on the Switch, that is your choice. It is there out of convenience. Alright? A lot of people have Switch 2s either for their kids or because they want to play the exclusive Nintendo titles. But most importantly, people just want to be able to game outside of their home. Alright? If you're sitting by, like, say for instance, you take your car for an oil change and you just don't want to sit there twiddling on your phone the entire time and doom scrolling like certain individual does. Won't name who, but they do. Of course, pull out the Switch, start playing on there. Pull out the Steam Deck, start playing on there. This specific port, these type of things are for people who want to do something different. Whether that be like play on the go, playing like an exclusive or whatever. All right, like cool.
Extra oomph of power over portability. That's just me. But you don't go out and buy a $450 Nintendo console for third-party games. I hope not. Please don't do that. Since the beginning of...
I mean, to be fair here, the Switch 2 is more affordable than a Steam Deck. Well, I mean, maybe not more affordable, considering RAM prices right now. Or maybe it is more affordable because of RAM prices, actually. Anyway, the point is, like, obviously, you're not going to, like, want to get a Steam Deck. Steam Deck's, like, expensive, and so is any other PC handheld, like the Asus, like, ROG Ally, or I think the Lenovo, like, Legion or something like that. Like, if a parent wants to get their, like, kids a Switch too, like, go for it. I would much rather, like, from my own standpoint, I would much rather get my kid a Switch, like, or a Switch 2 over a $1,000 PC handheld. All right, and I say $1,000 because have you seen those RAM prices? That shit's crazy, dude. But yeah, I mean, and like that's just how it is. People play third-party games on the Switch too. Why is that an issue? Like maybe to you it's an issue, but why should that be an issue for literally anyone else?
time, you buy Nintendo consoles to play their awesome Nintendo games, and their games just aren't awesome right now. Don't get me wrong.
People don't just buy Nintendo consoles for the Nintendo games, all right? Third parties are there for a reason, because they see that fucking people buying these Nintendo consoles more than literally anything else. And you can't even say that I'm wrong, because look at the Wii and the GameCube fucking sales. All right, maybe the Wii U. Maybe not the Wii U. But look at the Switch, more recent. The Switch 1. All right? It outsold a lot. All right? The Switch was monumental in that, like, in the Nintendo sphere, because more third-party developers came in and made games for it, or even ported their own titles over. There is clearly, like, a demographic there, just like there's a demographic for your clickbait Nintendo videos, for third-party content on Nintendo consoles, alright? Just because someone owns a Nintendo console does not specifically mean they are only going to play Nintendo titles on there, alright? Some people, like myself, could buy a port of a game from another console, or from Steam for that matter, so that I can play on the go on my Switch. Alright fellas, we're back. I have to go eat dinner, but I figured I'd kill some time here and finish some more recording, or at least get some more recording done. But yeah, here we go. Here's where we left off.
I don't think most of the Switch 2 lineup right now is bad. Most of the Switch 2 lineup. But for year one of a new console, it's really not banging either. Because, yes, they have decent titles. I mean, I don't think any of the titles are under a 7, but so many of them are around a 7 for me. And everyone, for some reason this generation, are so quick to come to Nintendo's defense. I'm like, why are you upset that people want more content and more effort put into these $70 and $80 video games?
Well,
people don't praise and have tons of...
Here's the thing. I am one of those people who not only defends Nintendo, but also wants more from them. But I also have come to appreciate a lot of the efforts that they've gone to optimize the games from their library. I mean, you got Mario Odyssey that runs at 60 frames now, and it looks really good on a Switch 2. You got Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which are free upgrades, by the way, if you have the expansion pass for online, which I do. And for those of you who don't, and you want to get it for cheap, just start a family plan with some friends and split some money, put some money in a pool, and you can get a fucking year for pretty much less than you would for the regular 1-year plan. Even though Nintendo hasn't come out with a lot, you have to admit, with the amount of time that they've been taking developing these games, they've come out with some pretty good bangers. Like, Donkey Kong Bonanza was one of them. We were never anticipating that they would make a 3D Donkey Kong game. And when they did, after decades of a 3D Donkey Kong, which you mentioned, Donkey Kong 64, on the Nintendo 64, when they came out with Bonanza, that shit was fire. I was playing that every day. Mario Kart World was a lot of fun. Even though it's not as fleshed out as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it is still really good. They still update it consistently to balance the game. I've enjoyed Mario Kart World recently. And then you have other titles that have come out. Legend ZA, for me, was really special, because my first Pokemon game was X and Y. So being back in Lumiose, back in Kalos at least, was really special to me. They fucking improved the shit out of that area, and they made it look good on the Switch 2 edition, which I would expect, because I got the Switch 2 edition. I would hope that the game runs better and looks better than running it on my fucking almost 10-year-old Switch 1. Even though we've been getting quote-unquote port after port from Nintendo, you have to admit the efforts they've gone to preserve and improve on their past games is pretty commendable. Sure, we haven't been getting a lot of new content, but you can't deny the fact that they have been going towards fixing their Switch 1 titles to make it better and a smoother experience for people on the newer platform. You cannot just turn a blind eye to all of that.
Nostalgia for Nintendo's 2017 first year of Nintendo Switch, because there were a bunch of games, a game every month. Look at all these games. No, that wasn't it. It was because it had fewer games, but more expansive, more entertaining, and higher quality games. Splatoon 2,
And here's my thing, all right? with his argument here. It's great to want a lot of games within the span of 1 year. But if you want something good, you have to wait for it. Today is February 27th. It is Pokemon Day. And in case you didn't know, Pokemon Presents announced the next generation of Pokemon games. Gen 10. Myself, Fry, Silver, Mateo have all been saying that Pokemon needs to get their fucking shit together if they want to keep going at the momentum they've been going, alright? No more slop. If we want a good Pokemon title, Game Freak has to give enough of a shit to spend not 2 years, but 3 or 4, maybe even 5, to fucking flesh out the shit out of that game and make it look and run as good as possible. And they did that. They announced Pokemon Winds and Waves this morning, and they don't plan to release it until next year. Which is amazing. I love that. But that's the point I'm trying to make. If you want good, fleshed out, well-optimized, amazing titles, you have to wait for them. You cannot just sit here and spout off, oh, but we have a new console. We should be getting all these games right now within the first year. That's not how it should work. Because if you sit there with that mindset, we are just going to have bullshit pieces of shit games that are not worth a fucking $70 price tag. Alright? I would love to have the best fucking 3D Mario title of all time. But I would much rather the developers take their sweet ass time than to come out with a piece of shit Odyssey sequel that will not be worth any fucking price because of how fucking terrible and dog water that ended up being. Why? Because they rushed the title. I don't want my developers to rush the title. I want them to be as creative as possible and take their sweet ass time. Because if they don't take their sweet ass time, we are going to have a repeat of Scarlet and Violet. We are going to have a repeat of fucking Call of Duty Black Ops 7. We are going to have a repeat of every fucking failed slop title because the developers wanted to have quantity over quality. You cannot have it both ways. If you want something quality, if you want good titles, you have to wait for them. They are not just gonna fall out of the sky in one February Nintendo Direct and then be like, okay, I'm set. I don't want any more Nintendo Switch 2 titles. This is all I want. This is all the games we should get. No. It takes time. It's a process. You're gonna have to fucking wait for it. You cannot have it both ways.
Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Xenoblade 2, Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild do not give me crap for that being a Wii U game. So I'll be honest, personally, I have tons of other stuff to play on my other consoles, and I have a huge backlog. In fact, I'll even show you it right here.
Oh my god. Hold on. This is his backlog? I have a backlog for you.
These are not all the games Nintendo Land wants to play. He wants to play a lot of others. These are just games that he has been thinking about recently, and also some of the games on this list he has in digital collection, but not as a physical copy. Nintendo Land has and still plays games that are outside of 3D Mario and the Nintendo Sphere. But still, even then, I've been more excited than I am right now. I am not excited really about anything Nintendo has to show or anything that Nintendo's been doing recently. And I know, we shouldn't primarily live off of hype of what's to come, but we've always been like this with Nintendo. I mean, that's what it's like to be a Nintendo fan. Now, I went to save this last...
I agree. And like many others, I too anticipated that we would get a full Nintendo Direct in February. We only got a partner showcase. And I think that's totally fine that we got a partner showcase because they at least showed off other games that we could get or that we are getting while they fucking develop the other good shit that they're cooking up. Alright? Splatoon Raiders, take your sweet time with it. Alright? I want Splatoon Raiders to be the best fucking spin-off I've ever played. The Yoshi game, perfect. I don't want to hear a lick of information from that game until it looks fucking flawless. Tomodachi Life, we got a direct on it. It's coming out soon. That's fine. It's literally about to get released. Cool. We got some information on that. Rhythm Heaven? Rhythm Heaven. I do not want to see anything, I don't care if it takes 2 fucking years. If they delayed it right now, I do not care. I want them to take their time, and it is going to be worth the wait. It's fine to be hyped up. It's even better to be patient, because if you're patient enough and they play their cards right, you are going to have an immaculate fucking game. Nintendo Land, cool. You have an opinion here on you know, your Switch 2, and that it's boring as shit right now. But I'm telling you, bro, it is so much better to have what we have currently than whatever else you have in your head right now. Because if we got that reality that you're envisioning right now, all the fucking games would be absolutely terrible. Just terrible.
Video and thumbnail for a reason. In fact, this is the video that inspired me to make this one today. This is Wood from Beat 'em Up, and I'm sure you heard of him. He's literally the biggest Nintendo content creator on the platform.
I've seen this.
He's pretty much posted a video talking about how he's essentially bored with the Switch 2 and that there's not a lot to talk about in the content space of things. Of course, the second he posts this video, here comes the Nintendo soldiers. And almost every single comment and quote tweet say the exact same thing. Oh, you turn into a grifter now. One of my favorite channels is now a grifter. How dare you? What is this rage bait? You're just a baby. What are you talking about? There's so much to play, and it's just constant.
Well, I mean, they're not wrong, though. There is a lot to play on the Switch 2. I mean, you even have the entire fucking Switch Online catalog to distract you. Like, you have NES, SNES, N64, GameCube, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, and Virtual Boy on the Switch 2. Alright? There is no excuse to be saying, oh yeah, well, these are fucking, like, old games and shit. Like, I don't want to play these old ass shits. I want something new. Brother, there is an entire Nintendo eShop with all sorts of titles, indie, fantasy, RPG, fighting, all these fucking games. All these games that you could be playing. You don't. And because of that, now you are complaining that the Switch 2 has no games. And if you have somehow managed to 100% every single Nintendo Switch 2 title within the span of 1 year, you should go into your bathroom, take a long, good look in your mirror, and reflect on the amount of time you have spent indoors. That is my piece of advice to you. If you somehow still don't have anything else to play on your Switch 2, do exactly that. Because there are so many other titles. You could literally try something new. Step out of your comfort zone and play it. Alright? Now I get it. These guys are like Nintendo YouTubers, gaming YouTubers that like get their money from making reviews and speculating on new stuff that's supposed to come out and reviewing the Switch 2 or like any console in general. But most people who own these consoles are regular consumers like you and me. Alright? We thrive off of new hardware and our games and our game library. I have a backlog of games. Here's some of them. But that does not mean I am going to completely invalidate an entire library of games simply because I got bored. Alright? That's not how it should work.
Stream of hate. Which is strange, because why do we live in this world where people can't have opinions? Like, if you like the Nintendo Switch 2, great, have fun. I'm hoping you're having a blast. Like,
It's okay to have an opinion. It's another thing to just have complete misinformation and have the most fucking vile and idiotic takes of all time, alright? This is one of them. This is one of them. I've never seen such a fucking dumbass take from Nintendo Land, but I'm also not surprised, because we also got the complete lore of Splatoon and the scariest lore moments in Splatoon, alright? We got both of these things from Nintendo Land.
Wish I could like it as much as you do. I have no problem with people that love their Switch 2s. But if you're somebody like me who's felt a little underwhelmed with it, Why is that not okay? But one of Wood's big things that's getting him under fire with what he said in his video was pretty much the content creation side of things is the worst for him, where he just doesn't know what to talk about, and he doesn't really have any topics.
Dive into something else. Become a, don't even, like, you don't even have to focus. Nintendo Land, oh my fucking god. You are here spouting that you don't just play 3D Mario games, or you don't just only play Nintendo games. Branch out and make other content. Focus on something else. Start talking about Ratchet and Clank. Do a whole playthrough on that. Start fucking talking about other games that you enjoy. Find something else to do than obsess over one company. There is an entire library of games out there that anyone could play. You could start playing indie titles that developers haven't continued because they either don't have the resources or the time to continue. Shine a light on those other developers. Shine a light on these obscure games that other people might like. That is something you could do. Alright, fellas, it's the next day now. To be honest with you, I couldn't keep going the other night. It was just too much for me. It's Monday now. Let's just get back into it.
On his videos, just because there's nothing to talk about. And of course, you're going to see those comments. Nintendo's not your employer. They're not supposed to give you stuff to feed your family. Go get a real job. Flip patties, you nerd.
Yo, he's talking about us.
Bro, wrap it in the... Bro, just put the fries in the bag.
Just put the fries in the fucking bag, bro. He's talking about us. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go, bro. Oh my god. I can't believe it. Holy fucking shit. Alright, hold up. Because I gotta show you this. So if you go on Twitter, if you go on my Twitter, which is something I don't really use, but I hopped on it and Nintendo Land was on my feed. He talked about this video and then I said, here's an idea for you since you don't have anything to play on your Switch too. And it's the job application image, you know, the fucking meme image that people are posting online for people who need jobs.
Cherry? Another cherry?
And then on top of that, like, you got this, essentially, where he's like, is there a reason I see anyone saying this, like, about Splatoon Raiders news? And I'm like, can't wait for you to play this game, misunderstand the entire plot, then make a 45-minute video about it with incoherent rambling about the misunderstood plot. Like, that's fucking hilarious. Not to mention, like, the times that myself and Silver in the last Nintendo Land video would be like, put the fries in the bag, bro, because this fucking incoherent rambling is so idiotic. It's clear he does not do this for the fans. He does it for the money. He is milking the shit out of you guys because you guys are too fucking brainless to see he is treating you like you have a 20 IQ.
It is to believe a lot of us actually chose this route because it's a passion of ours. I mean, yes, getting paid and doing this full time is a blessing from the Lord. I am so blessed to be able to do this for a living. But at the same time, I love talking about Nintendo and talking about what's to come. Speculating.
Uploading several, hang on, let me pull this up, hold on. Making all these fucking videos, specifically 8 minutes or over 8 minutes, that is not doing it for the passion. That is doing it to milk for views and for money. There is no fucking passion in any of these videos. If there truly was any lick of passion, this right here, this fucking stupid ass 45-minute video would have been a lot more well-placed, better well put together, and it would actually make some fucking sense, brother. But none of this is passion. All of this is profit.
Future and talking about big titles, but you can't do that if Nintendo's not doing anything. One of the comments that I get the most is, what happened to your old content? I miss when you actually talked about video games rather than Nintendo news.
Oh my god.
I wish. I love talking about big Nintendo games. It's the reason I created a channel. Some of my biggest videos are from the biggest games Nintendo had on the Switch 1. Super Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Mario Maker 2, Luigi's Mansion 3, every Kirby game ever, Splatoon 2, Splatoon 3, Animal Crossing New Horizons. I mean, I could go on and on and on.
We get it, bro.
These were the big things that people...
We get it, bro. You named literally every fucking main Nintendo game on the Switch 1. We get it.
People wanted to see, and I made tons of content for those games. But if you're wondering why I've been talking about news and speculation since 2024, it's because since 2024 there hasn't been a major title that's generated.
Then focus on something else, brother. Focus on something else. If there is not that much to go off of, stop making shitty 8-minute videos about shit that's not going to happen or has never happened. All right? There are other things to talk about. You could talk about literally anything, but you choose to stick on that one topic, milk it for views, and then treat your viewers like they're fucking Nimrods.
2023 was like the last year where I felt like I was truly able to dig deep in content. We talked about Tears of the Kingdom alone for maybe half the entire year, plus Pikmin 4 information was dropping like crazy, and then we had Mario Wonder, a brand new 2D Mario game that finally broke out of the new moniker. It was an awesome year for news, for content, and I was back to my usual style of talking about details that you missed, locations you missed, boss rankings, area rankings, tons of details about the game, predictions. It was just top of my content.
I think we all know how his tier
let's
lists
talk about the
go.
people watching the content, because a lot of people out there, including you guys right now, are telling me every day that you're missing this stuff. And if you're missing this stuff, don't blame the content creators. Blame the company that decides to start their brand new Switch 2 with a partner direct. And
what do you mean blame the fucking company? The company doesn't have to give you shit. Nintendo has no you literally touched on this earlier. Nintendo has no obligation to give you anything right now. What do you mean, bro? Make other fucking content. If you don't like that you're not getting news from the company that you want news from, do not focus on it. Shift the focus to something else. Sony just had their state of play. I don't see you talking about their fucking presentation. Focus on something else, brother.
And also have a Nintendo Treehouse presentation dedicated to Pokemon Pokopia and a 3-year-old 2D Mario game. And a lot of us
a 3-year-old 2D Mario game that's getting a Switch 2 expansion. What the fuck is the issue?
Creators tried really hard to put out a lot of content for Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza. Tons of unique content in different ways and different styles, but it just wasn't viewing as well as past bigger titles for Nintendo has. Maybe it's because Mario Kart World was received as a bad game, and because of the intermissions, a lot of people weren't happy with it, so lots of the content of Mario Kart World actually turned to be nothing but negative stuff. And for Donkey Kong Bonanza, the excitement was all there in the beginning and for like the first week or so, but after that, it just completely dropped off and people moved on looking for what's next.
It is a 3D platformer. The same thing happened with Odyssey, and the same thing happened with Mario Wonder. You are going to get that from a game that is a single run save file. Alright? There is not much else to go off of. Donkey Kong Bonanza is there not to fucking be a live service game like Fortnite. It is there because it told the story, you beat the game, you do the post game if you really want to, or you just leave it. All right, that's what some of these games are. These games that you were referencing, Mario Odyssey, Pikmin, Breath of the Wild, Donkey Kong Bonanza, all of these fucking games do not have anything else to offer. You just play it. You have fun while you play it. If you want to play it again, go for it. It's there. Obviously, they're not going to fucking, like, continue milking the shit out of it for months like it's a live service game when it's not. You are making the comparison between a single player campaign and an online multiplayer. Like, that's like saying, oh man, we should be getting live service updates for fucking Nintendogs on the Nintendo DS. That is not a live service game.
People tell me, why would Nintendo announce like the big holiday game right now, or 3D Mario, or whatever it's going to be, or games coming in the second half of this year? It's way too early for that. It's because Nintendo has done that already. I mean, besides anything new, let's just talk about the stuff that we know of so far. I would have loved to get some information on Splatoon Raiders, a game that was announced in the summer of 2025. That doesn't sound like
hold
Nintendo...
up. Nah, okay. I know he's about to make this argument. It's like, we've heard nothing about Splatoon Raiders, and I don't think we're going to hear about Splatoon Raiders. Honestly, I've made this point earlier. I don't give a shit if we don't get news for Splatoon Raiders right now. I would much rather we wait for the developers to flesh out the fucking game before hearing any news. Because let's say we rush them, right? Let's say we harass the developers into giving us more news. That's just gonna make the game shit. Look at Pokemon Winds and Waves that just got announced, right? Usually the development cycle for new mainline Pokemon games, we're not counting the Legends Arceus or Legends ZA. We are talking about Gen 1, 2, like 1 through 9. It's always been a 2-year development cycle. 2 to 3 years tops. But this time they broke that cycle with Gen 10, and they only now revealed it to get released next year. You are completely missing the point. The point is not that we should be demanding updates and news from developers. We should be patient with them and let them bring it out as they perfect the game. Splatoon Raiders obviously has not been giving us too much news now because they are still figuring it out. They are still trying to keep that hype going for the Splatoon series. It's one of Nintendo's newest franchises out here that's only been running for a decade. I would want them to fucking put some passion into it. I wouldn't want it to be some fucking live service like slop multiplayer game. I want it to be fleshed out. I want it to be good and actually playable. But the fact that we've gotten down to this point where it's like, oh well, I keep making this shitty content because they're not giving me any more news. That's fucking ridiculous. Just focus on something else. Find another passion. It's not that difficult. Become a variety creator. People look for new stuff to talk about. They don't just sit there, keep milking the same fucking slop over and over again and call it a day.
Likes waiting now to reveal games. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book and Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave could benefit big right now with some new information about the game.
No, they would not. They would not benefit from any new information right now. Give it time. If you want good quality content, you have to wait for it.
I mean, it was revealed back in the last Direct in September of 2025, but here we are almost in March and still not a clue when these games are releasing. And odds are it's not going to be until probably after the halfway mark of the year, because considering the fact we know every game coming out until like early May. Once again, Nintendo revealing games well in advance before their actual release dates are announced. For crying out loud,
why is that an issue,
one of my
though?
most anticipated games was Splatoon Raiders, and this game was announced at the beginning of 2025. March.
Why is that
so no,
an
there's
issue?
No reason Nintendo can't announce or at least tease the schedule for the rest of the year already. Most of the time, Nintendo's big holiday game comes out in September or October, so that gives us about a 7 to 8 month period to get some marketing, some hype, and some excitement in the community. And every game that I just mentioned is getting close to that 7 to 8 month window since it was announced, and we don't even have release dates for any of them yet. The Switch 2 is selling like hotcakes right now, and in fact, I think that's the exact reason Nintendo's acting the way that they are, is because there's no pressure. They're like, dang, Mario Kart World is going to be the one to just sell so many copies, we can just sit on our hands and do nothing forever until this game stops selling. And what's so...
I wanna illustrate this a little better than I tried to earlier, alright? Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, released in May of 2014. The DLC for Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U was on November 13th and in April of 2015. So November of that same 2014 year and April of 2015, which is reasonable, right? I can understand why he's seeing that, right? Why he wants content to be announced now. Let's look at Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. April of 2017. Okay? April of 2017. That's when we got 8 Deluxe on the Switch. No, nothing wrong with that. They got ported over so it can run better, play better on the Switch, which it did. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch was phenomenal. It was such an immense improvement over the Wii U's version. And this is the expansion passes release. It started releasing in March of 2022, and it finished releasing in November of 23. That is a 7-year gap between the two releases. The release of the game and the release of the expansion. Which, you know, I guess some of you could argue, oh, but with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, all the DLC was already included, so why would we need to get the DLC out so quick? Like, and that's valid. That's some valid reasoning, all right? I'll give you that. But at the same time, of course, we're not going to have the same fucking expectations for Mario Kart World, of course. I'm sure they have their plans for it. But at the same time, when you look at it, of course, they're going to stick with what they have. They're going to keep patching Mario Kart World. But that does not mean they're not going to add new content to it. And it took 7 years for them to bring the expansion pass to Deluxe. If anything, it's probably not going to be until next year where we see major DLC being announced for Mario Kart World. Assuming that that's going to be the reality here, why the fuck is this an issue when it took 7 years for the expansion pass to get released on the Switch release of Mario Kart 8?
What's weird about this is if this was the norm, I'd completely understand. But Nintendo does not operate like this. They almost always had directs when they were supposed to. One in February, one around the June time.
When they were
and if they didn't,
supposed to.
you would still guarantee to
When
have
they
one.
were supposed to. Nintendo does not have a set schedule for directs. The only time we've been guaranteed a direct has been in June, because that was when E3 took place. For those of you who don't know what E3 is, it's basically the expo where all the game developers came in to announce their new games for the year, or like the year's coming. All right? That was the only time we were really guaranteed Nintendo Directs, was in June. And we still kind of do. They're probably going to have another Direct coming out in June. But the February Direct, the March Direct, the November Direct, the September Direct, none of those were guaranteed. If you notice, not all of them take place on the exact same day. Maybe the same time frame, maybe the same time in the quarter, but they never took place at the exact same day, at the exact same time every year.
September, and every single year there was some sort of juggernaut game announced to get people excited for. 2018 was not the best follow-up year after their stellar 2017. I don't think it needed to be. When you start your new console with a 3D Mario, an open world Zelda, a new Splatoon.
Hold on, what are you talking about? 2018 wasn't Didn't we get the Smash announcement in 2018? We got the Smash announcement that year. What do you mean it wasn't stellar? The Smash announcement was probably the biggest fucking announcement that year, because we got legendary moments like this one.
Oh my god!
How's it going, fellas? Post-edit Prez here again. Just wanted to cut in and add a little bit to this segment, this joke. As you could already tell, I was making the argument that 2018 was not just a year without, big announcements like Nintendo Land is trying to insinuate here. But in fact, aside from this announcement that we got for Smash Ultimate, we also got Octo Expansion, which Silver pointed out to me that Nintendo Land claimed that Octo Expansion alongside Super Mario Odyssey was one of, if not the biggest parts of why his channel is so established today. And the fact that he missed that, idea that Octo Expansion was what built him up, even though he's only played like 10 minutes of it and knows about 1 minute of content from that DLC. But I just find it a little weird that he makes that claim, even though he is completely undermining the fact that that announcement happened that year, and it released in June of that year. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Let that sink in.
And Xenoblade 2, there's not much else you need to do for year 2. But even with that, Nintendo knew their year 2 wasn't as powerful, so what do? The very beginning of the year, they say, hey, a brand new Smash Brothers is coming at the very end of the year. That's all they needed to do, a simple little announcement trailer that hardly showed anything, but it fueled speculation until the next big presentation, and it carried speculation for the rest of the year and excitement. Everybody was happy. Everybody couldn't stop thinking about all the characters that could be in this next Smash Brothers game. What is it going to look like? Who's going to be in it? And Nintendo would do this every single year. year, there was always something big and interesting to look forward to, interesting to talk about. Mario Maker 2 was shown off in advance. Luigi's Mansion 3 was teased in advance, just to give us stuff to look forward to and to talk about. No, Nintendo doesn't owe content creators to have stuff to talk about.
Good.
It's up to us to figure out individually and
I'm glad you come to that agreement, and it's fine to make predictions. What's not fine is that you make those predictions and you turn it into a clickbait video as if they're real, alright? That's what's not okay. That's the issue I have with you, Nintendo Land.
work around. But at the same time, when you're in people's comment sections saying, what happened to your old content and why do all Nintendo content creators now just talk about news? This is why. But then you get the comments of people saying that you need to change your content to these things that you never even made your channel for in the first place. For instance, yes, I do rankings all the time and I have done pretty much every ranking video you can imagine with every IP from Nintendo. And then you hear people say, hey, until Nintendo does something, maybe you should do retrospectives. And I'm like, that's never been what I wanted to do. Yes, I've
But that's a valid idea, though! Because I'm not even gonna lie, that would be 10 times better than whatever the fuck you've been making right now. That has been so much better to make like retrospectives of certain games. I would watch the fuck out of that, not gonna lie to you. So what do you mean that's not? It's an idea. Branch out into other modes of content, dude. The point is not to sit on one niche forever. That shit's gonna die out. Look at all these fucking old Minecraft YouTubers, brother. Stampy fucking Longhead, fucking, who else? Bayesian Canadian, and all those other fucking Minecraft creators move on to other shit. They still play Minecraft, sure. They do other shit on top of that, though. Why? Because the times change. Clearly, like they are right now. Nintendo's been doing shit that has not been predicted in a long time. And you are sitting here like, oh yeah, but I still have to make this content because that's why I originally made this channel for. Your ideas are shit. Your content is shit. People watch this because they don't have a brain, dude. People watch your shit because they don't know any better. Because you keep feeding these fucking clickbait thumbnails down their throats with your AI-generated ass script.
And I could still find new ways of making different styles of content, and I will. That's the thing. I will not just stop, cry, and give up. Yes, I will complain. I'm good at complaining, but at the same time, I will also come up with unique ideas over and over again. I will never personally run out of content. It just might not be the style of content that you're expecting me to ship to. I like talking about news because it gets me hype about potential things that could be coming from Nintendo. It keeps me engaged in Nintendo. But what people don't understand is me just shifting my channel to retrospectives only now would immediately change the algorithm for my channel.
No one is telling you to shift only to retrospectives. They are I'm sure the people who are reaching out to you and telling you these things are reaching out to tell you to make other content, other better content than whatever you're making right now. Because all you've made within the past year is nothing but 8-minute slop. You are nothing more than Nintendo's Sniper Wolf at this point. Except I'm even surprised you haven't decided to take anyone's video criticizing you down. Because, let's be real, if that wasn't an issue for you, you probably would be doing it.
I mean, immediately, it will not perform well. There are already channels out there that do retrospectives and have been doing retrospectives, and that era for Nintendo is kind of over anyway.
So what? Why do you care? Why do you care who makes retrospective videos? I've made an entire Splatoon lore video. Sure, I've gotten some stuff wrong in that video, and I acknowledge that, unlike... I mean, you can see for yourself. I mean, there are 100 other Splatoon lore videos out there. So, what stopped me from making one? There are a dozen tech accounts that talk about graphics cards and some computer processors. What is stopping me from making that content too? My friend Frythusiast makes videos on Splatoon like lore and merch and lost content. What is stopping me from doing the same thing in my own style? It's one thing to plagiarize from other people. It's another thing to take that idea, not make it your own, but make your own adaptation of it.
Yes, there's still channels out there doing really well with that type of stuff, but it's just not as popular as it used to be. Same with ranking videos. People are really just interested in what's new and what's hot. When there's a new game, they love hearing tons of cool new information about it, or speculation about that cool new upcoming game for the holiday season. It's seriously my favorite stuff to talk about. That's the reason I created my channel, was just off of hype from Super Mario Odyssey alone. I was so excited about that game and just wanted to talk about Mario Odyssey
Which
for
is great.
days. And the only
Which
way
is
to
great,
do that was
but the issue is you have no passion. All you have your eyes on is your fucking ad revenue, brother. You made two 45-minute Splatoon videos, one talking about the lore and the other talking about the scariest moments, and neither one of those videos were good because you kept getting shit wrong. In Splatoon 3, when you were talking about Splatoon 3 in your lore video, you could not tell if the main antagonists use one thing to power a rocket or to spread the ooze when it was literally written there in front of you. That is the issue. Your content sucks because you're not doing it out of passion. You are doing it to make a quick buck.
create a YouTube channel. And lots of my creative ideas and videos come from a new game, something that I can create those ideas from. So do I think the Switch 2 is a bad console? No. But do I think it's a boring console right now? Yes. This is one of the few times that I think ever where I genuinely don't have any interest talking about anything right now. And yes, all of this can change by simply Nintendo coming out tomorrow and saying, hey, there's a big general Nintendo Direct coming at the first week of March. But will that happen? I don't know. So yeah, I just think Nintendo desperately
God,
needs
sympathy
to get out
baiting
some
with the
information,
dog,
at least
bro.
convey what's going on with the games that they already announced, and also announce some new stuff. Right, Kirby? Going by Zelda's 40th anniversary without even giving us a tweet. I know their celebration doesn't really start until the summertime, but they could have at least said something, given us something, did something.
Oh, I
It
mean,
just
when they
seems like
have
Nintendo-
all this shit going on with the fucking Mario's 40th anniversary and the release of another Mario movie, I can see why they haven't said anything about the Zelda anniversary. Because it's like you said. It's like you just said. See, that's the issue. You jump to a conclusion, and then later on in the video, you fucking rationalize it. Their anniversary celebration does not happen until the end, or till the middle of the fucking year.
Absolute bare minimum. It's just Switch 2 edition here, port there, announcement of old game over here, and with every title coming out being like a 7 out of 10 for a lot of people, their Nintendo Directs being skipped and just having partner showcases instead, game key card situations, extreme prices for games like Mario Tennis at $70, and even threatening of price hikes for the Switch 2 soon, Nintendo really needs a win right now. Something that can just shut us
For Mario Tennis and the games in general, like, I can understand that. $70 for a Mario Tennis game, that's unreal. I don't think anybody plays Mario Tennis like that. For the Switch 2, I can kind of understand, because thanks to AI and everything, and this whole AI bubble that's happening, RAM prices are going up. Valve has literally ran out of stock of the Steam Deck because RAM prices are too expensive. They cannot sell Steam Decks at the price they're at right now. But everything else, the game keycard situation, which really wasn't even that much of a big deal. I get a lot of people want to conserve their games, and game keycards are not the way to do it, but holy fucking shit. It's just all this small shit that you're just nitpicking at to make the console worse than it is. I love my Switch 2. I have enjoyed the fuck out of it. I have so many Switch games on it that I enjoy even more because of the performance boost that the Switch 2 offers. And you bringing up all these problems and even titling the video the way it is, saying that the Switch 2 is boring, that's what's wrong here. The Switch 2 is not a bad console by any means. It is an immense improvement over the Switch 1. I have had my Switch for almost a year now. It is almost a year since I got my Switch from release day. I don't even have stick drift. That is an immense improvement. Within the first year of me having my Switch 1, I had stick drift. I am so happy that's not the case with this console. Or at least not yet. I'm just, like, I am so happy with it. But you keep making these arguments saying, oh, we need to have more content for the Switch 2. Like, they need to start pumping out content like that, quick, for the Switch 2. when that shouldn't be the case, because you're saying that right now, where they're like, where you're wanting them to spew out content for the Switch 2, but when it comes out and you play it and it turns out like shit, that is on you. You asked for that. You wanted them to pump out content the way you wanted them to. And look at where it would get you. Shit games, unplayable, unoptimized, expensive as shit, and the developers don't even get to like show their creativity and their passion for the project they work on. That is the problem. So here is my 2 cents. I am completely fine with the lack of information and content from Nintendo right now. Because at the end of the day, if they haven't said anything, that probably means they're still working hard on it. And by the end of it, when that game finally releases, it's probably going to be the best fucking game I've ever played. If they played the cards right, of course. But yeah, I mean, Nintendo Land, you're being completely fucking irrational and unrealistic here. I don't know how you could just sit there and make a 20-minute video talking about how console is boring, list off every reason why he thinks it's boring, and then base it off of the fact that he does not have enough content to make. Because that's basically what he's trying to say. Nintendo has not released any information on these new games that are coming out, and that's the problem, because he doesn't have anything to make content with. Focus on other shit. These videos suck. Your videos suck, brother. Make something worthwhile. Branch out into other things. You have an entire storefront like Steam with so many games. You could, maybe not this one, but there's so many games you could be playing. So many other games you could be focusing on. And you don't. And I get it, it's because you love Nintendo, but you can't just expect them to just give you information on a silver platter. And then when there isn't information, you resort to making fucking pieces of shit content like this. That's complete misinformation. And then you make, and then I bet this video is about fucking Fire Red and Leaf Green being $20. $20, which you don't have to buy, but it's there. And then you have all this fucking slop content. You have 3 Nintendo Direct videos in a row in the same week. You have another pair here. More. It's within the same time span. Nobody does this like you do. These are fine. Reviews are fine. But you keep milking the... Look, you're even doing it on purpose. This video's 9 minutes. 10 minutes. It's like you can't make this shit up. He is doing it for the monetization. Look, you can tell it's... This one's exactly 9 minutes. This one's just over 9 minutes. You can't make this shit up. And I'm just basing it... I don't even know if he has any other like timeline or like video... But shit like this video, or the first lore video, that is complete ass. Like, we even went as far to rename the lore video because he got so much shit from the fan base from him getting everything wrong. That is how bad he's gotten. But yeah, guys, that's gonna do it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry it ended up being another hour-plus long video on a 20-minute video of me yapping, but with Nintendo Land, that's unfortunately how it's going to have to be. Now, here is a big message to Nintendo Land if you somehow miraculously made it to the end of this video. If you actually saw this video, I want you, in your next tweet, to say... If there is an audience for these Nintendo Direct videos, then I have reason to make these videos, alright? That is what I want you to say verbatim in your next tweet or in your next community post responding to the criticism. Or you could just try and copyright take down this video too. It's whatever. But, you know, just wanted to put that out there so I know for sure if you're watching these or not. Because I am going to tag you. That's going to be the title here. Like, I don't know what the exact title is going to say, but you're getting tagged. And yeah, unfortunately, you know, more like the epilogue here of this horrible chronicle of this story here. He's never going to stop. he's always just gonna have clickbait videos, and I am always gonna be joining Sir Musty. I'm waiting for that call, Sir Musty. I need you to give me that call so I could join you in clowning Nintendo Land. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.